A waitress at a quiet diner who waited on Barron Trump thought her job would be ordinary. However, the note and tip he left behind moved her to tears and started a national dialogue. The air was heavy with the aroma of espresso and subtle hints of freshly baked goods. The chatter in the cafe had finally subsided to a murmur, and the afternoon calm had lasted longer than normal. The adjustment felt like a marathon to Anna. Every clink of silverware served as a reminder that she had been up for hours, and every tick of the clock seemed to slow her. There was still an hour left, so she checked her phone and wiped the final table by the window. Her phone bill remained unpaid, and her rent was due in 5 days. That day's tips had been meager, mainly little change thrown haphazardly onto the table by harried customers who never took their eyes off their phones. With a sigh, Anna gathered the order pad and put her hair into a tighter ponytail. Anna's boss, an elderly woman with weary eyes, looked at her as though to urge, "Hang in there." But she was already operating automatically. Then she snapped back to reality when the bell above the door sounded. Stepping in was a tall, slender young man who looked easily put together in a simple shirt and jeans. Following closely behind, two men blended in almost too well with the background, their keen eyes scanning the entire space. The cafe wasn't particularly popular with famous people. Celebrities were not expected there, much less one who appeared to be accompanied by security personnel. Anna hesitated for a second, her pen dangling over the pad, but then she acted professionally and moved toward the table in the far corner where the young man had taken up residence. "Good morning," Anna responded, attempting to smile as broadly as she could. The young man looked up and asked, "Can I get you something to start?" Anna almost forgot what she was meant to say for a second. Even though his face was remarkable, there was a slight tranquility in his look that made him seem familiar. It dawned on me then. Barron Trump. As the son of the previous president, Anna had seen his face repeatedly featured on the news throughout the years. Her heart began to race, but she remained composed as she had been taught. This was a client, nothing more, nothing less. Barron answered quietly, "I'll just have a cappuccino and maybe one of those croissants," in a courteous but restrained tone. His head shook. "Absolutely. Anything else?" "That'll be perfect. Thank you." His words were straightforward, yet there was something in his tone that Anna couldn't identify. Kindness, perhaps, or simply sincerity. After writing down the order, she turned back to face the counter and attempted to get rid of the butterflies in her chest. Something about this moment stayed with her, and she wasn't sure if it was nerves or fatigue. Anna couldn't help but look back at the corner table as she made the coffee. She had no idea that this brief encounter would completely change the course of her day, and possibly her entire week. As Anna frothed the milk, the steam from the cappuccino machine hissed. She moved steadily and deliberately, doing anything to divert her attention from the strange, tense energy churning in her abdomen. She asked herself, "Why am I acting like this?" And of all people, Barron Trump. She glanced back at the table. His posture was upright but not rigid as he sat peacefully. He was engrossed in his thoughts, staring out the window at the street beyond, rather than using a phone to browse or a laptop to type. He occasionally took a sip of water from the glass she had previously dropped off. Anna had already made herself comfortable by the time the croissant and espresso arrived. Carefully balancing the platter, she walked over to his table. She murmured, "Here you go," and laid the pastry and cup gently in front of him. He gave a small smile as he looked up. She said in a neutral but courteous tone, "Thank you." "You're welcome. Let me know if you need anything else," she said. Something halted Anna as she turned to return to the counter. Perhaps it was her own fatigue making her feel self-conscious, or perhaps it was the sensation of his curious yet non-intrusive gaze still on her. In any case, her heart fluttered once again. As the minutes went by, Anna occupied herself with refilling sugar containers and wiping vacant tables. With the exception of the slight buzz of background music emanating from the speakers, the cafe had once again become quiet. In a way she had never experienced before, she felt the room's weight, as if an unseen force were pushing down on her, demanding that she pay attention. Anna caught a glimpse of Barron leaning over the receipt and taking a pen out of his pocket. He hastily scribbled something as his dinner was coming to a conclusion, almost as if he didn't want anyone to see. Carefully folding the paper, he placed it under the empty coffee cup. Then he got up and gathered his coat and phone. After a moment of staring at him, Anna made herself concentrate. She whispered, "Thank you for coming," as he went past. Barron grinned and turned back just a little. Those words lasted longer than they ought to have. Have a good day. As he left with his security following closely behind, Anna stood motionless in the center of the cafe, her gaze following him. The chamber was silent once more, as the bell above the door sounded one more time. She exhaled deeply, grabbed her tray, and walked over to clear the table. A tiny bit of foam clung to the rim of the empty cappuccino cup. There were only crumbs on the croissant plate next to it, and the receipt was there. The folded paper felt heavier than it should have, so Anna cautiously lifted it up. The tip was the first thing that came to mind. It might be a good gesture, but wealthy clients frequently tossed money around to compensate for their lack of engagement. The air in her chest, however, disappeared as she unfolded the receipt. There was a number at the bottom, underneath the total, a tip so big it made her stomach turn. Anna's hands shook as she saw the 5 clear numbers and the handwritten words, "Your kindness and hard work don't go unnoticed. My family has been where you are. Stay strong. Brighter and lovely days are coming." Slower this time, she read the sentences again, allowing each sentence to fully register. Hot tears gathered in her eyes, blurring her vision as her gaze flitted to the door where Barron had vanished. She staggered back onto the vacant chair across from where he had been sitting and simply gazed at the message because her knees felt weak. The words, the weight of empathy written ink by someone she never thought would recognize her existence, were more important than the money. Anna felt seen for the first time in weeks, months even. She pondered the meaning of those words as the tears fell down her cheeks. However, this moment was not yet over. The message would be seen by another person, and Anna's tale was going to spread well beyond the cafe's boundaries. Anna was startled out of her reverie by the sound of the cafe door opening. As her manager came over, she tucked the message into the pocket of her apron and wiped away her tears with the back of her hand. Her boss narrowed her brows and questioned, "You okay?" Anna paused for a moment, searching for the appropriate words, then asked, "What happened?" She said, I'm fine," although her voice was a little cracked. Unconvinced, her manager arched an eyebrow and said, "Just a really generous tip." Anna nodded, holding out the folded receipt and managing a trembling giggle. "Generous enough to make you cry?" she asked. Her boss whistled softly as soon as she saw the number. "Corner table," Anna said, her voice lower now. "No way. Who left this?" Her boss blanched and said, "That was Barron Trump." "Yeah," Anna replied, taking the paper out of her pocket. "The Barron Trump? Are you serious?" She gingerly passed the paper across, as if it could shatter in her hands, and said, "But it's not just the money." When her manager read it, Anna noticed a sincere tenderness in her boss's eyes for the first time in months. "Wow," she muttered as she returned the note. "It really is," Anna concurred, folding the paper once again as though it were a priceless item. "That's something else." Her manager gave her a long look before saying, "I don't even know why he wrote it. I didn't do anything special." Sometimes people just know, Anna. They can see what you're going through, even if you think you're hiding it. You're here every day, working your tail off, always kind to customers, even the ones who don't deserve it. Maybe he saw that. Anna choked up. How much she needed to hear those words had escaped her notice. She had been surviving for months, working extra shifts to pay the rent and missing meals to ensure she could afford her mother's prescription drugs. He had somehow noticed that she had been kind, since it was the single aspect of herself that she had refused to let the outside world destroy. The coffee house began to bustle in an odd way as the minutes went by. Two co-workers pointed to the table where Barron had sat and whispered by the pastry display. Soon after, one of the baristas approached her, since word spread fast. In an exuberant yet incredulous tone, the girl said, "You served him, didn't you?" With a little smile, Anna asked, "What did he say?" "Was he nice?" The barista giggled. "I'd freak out." "Yeah, he was a really nice man." "That's so crazy," was all Anna said, not wanting to elaborate on the tip or the note. Sharing it somehow amounted to taking something holy and displaying it. It was hers for the moment. The remainder of her shift flew by. In some way, every conversation felt lighter, and she had an easier time clearing every table. The folded note was still securely in her pocket when she eventually removed her apron at the end of the day. Anna found herself holding the receipt once more as she headed to the subway station, gazing at the lines. "My family has been where you are. Stay strong. Brighter days are coming." She spoke the words to herself as if saying them out loud would make them come true. She reasoned that he didn't need to write that. It didn't matter to him, but he did. And Anna closed her eyes and let herself hope, for the first time in a long time, that perhaps things would improve as the train thundered into the tunnels. However, Anna was unaware that this silent moment would eventually be heard far more loudly than she had ever thought. Not long would the note remain a secret. When Anna's phone buzzed on the nightstand the following morning, the sun had just begun to peek through the window of her apartment. With a groan, she rolled over to look at the TV. Her lock screen was inundated with dozens of notifications. She squinted at the texts and muttered, "Why is everyone texting me? Girl, is this you? You're famous. Is this real?" she asked, tracing the outline of one message with a link. Anna's heart pounded in her chest as she clicked the link, which was a screenshot of the headline from the newspaper. Barron Trump leaves Waitress a touching note and a huge tip. Internet reacts. Word for word, the incident was recounted in the article. A struggling waitress, an unexpected visitor, an empathetic note, and a gratuity that seemingly transformed her life. The note itself, written in Barron's precise handwriting, was the subject of the attached photo. As Anna scrolled, her hands trembled. She read a second mail from one of her colleagues and asked, "How did this happen?" "The guy at table 8 yesterday. Someone must have seen the note and snapped a picture. It's everywhere now." Her jaw fell. "Everywhere?" she asked as she browsed through her social media profiles, and sure enough, everything was present on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The message had gone viral. "This is what the world needs more of. Barron Trump seems like such a kind soul. I don't care what anyone says. This is beautiful. Wait, what about the waitress? I hope she's okay," were just a few of the hundreds of comments that flooded in. Anna felt increasingly overwhelmed as she read more. Unaware of anything about her, strangers argued over her life and stories. She hid her face in her hands and dropped the phone upon her bed. She said to herself in a whisper, "What do I do now?" Anna was brought back to the present by the sound of her mother coughing coming from the adjacent room. With groceries to purchase and bills to pay, she couldn't afford to lose her mind over this. But the pain in her gut persisted even after she grabbed her luggage and rushed to work. She wasn't prepared for the world to know about her story. That day, the cafe was different. Anna sensed that people were watching her as soon as she went through the door. Her colleagues gave her a smile they had never given her before, one that was almost proud. As if to verify that she was the waitress from the story, a couple of regulars looked up from their coffee cups. Her manager smiled broadly as he greeted her. She teased, "You're a local hero now." Anna mumbled, "I don't feel like one." "You should," her manager murmured, putting a comforting hand on her shoulder. Instead of providing her with consolation, the words, "What happened yesterday was special, Anna. Not everyone gets to be part of something like that," made her feel vulnerable. She was merely a waitress going about her duties. She was nothing exceptional. Barron Trump, too, had not done it for the publicity. Even though the world's eyes weren't physically there, Anna could feel their weight as she laced her apron and stepped onto the floor. She evaded inquiries from both clients and colleagues throughout the morning, feigning a grin whenever someone brought up that kind young man or the letter he wrote to her. The situation didn't get out of hand until lunchtime. A news crew with cameras, microphones, and other equipment parked outside the cafe. As Anna saw the reporters hover around the entryway, talking to her manager, she moaned, "Seriously?" One of the reporters looked at her and waved politely, which made her stomach flip. Her coworker mocked, "You're the talk of the town," instead. "Lucky me," Anna whispered to herself. She took out her phone and looked at the most recent news while hiding behind the counter. The stream of responses came in more quickly than Anna could take it in. That note probably saved her life. This is a lesson in kindness. Small gestures mean everything. More stories like this, please. Anna sensed a glimmer of hope somewhere beneath the whirlpool of mayhem. The focus shifted from her to compassion, and the reminder that even modest actions can have a significant impact. However, Anna had one more choice to make, and it would decide the conclusion of her tale. By the end of Anna's shift, the cafe was even more cramped and oppressed by the attention. The TV crew was still encamped outside, so she ducked out the back door. She let out a breath, as if to shake off the invisible eyes as soon as her sneakers touched the pavement. It was too quiet on the walk home. Now the street seemed strange, as though the world had shifted just a bit. With the note securely tucked inside, Anna gripped her bag. Another message chimed on her phone. Her manager said to her, "Anna, they want you on a TV evening show. Call me." With her feet firmly planted on the sidewalk, Anna halted her stride. She shuddered at the thought. Go on TV? Tell her a tale. She wasn't that person. She was opposed to having her face displayed on screens. However, wouldn't it be pleasant to clarify? To let the world know that kindness is still important and that it has nothing to do with fame or fortune, a tiny voice said. After a prolonged period of staring at her phone, Anna stuffed it back into her bag. She would have to wait for her response. When Anna got home, she discovered her mother scrolling through the TV channels while seated in her recliner. Anna halted in the doorway when she heard a familiar voice say, "A simple note left by Barron Trump for a hard-working waitress is melting hearts across the country." Her mother looked up, coughing quietly, and saw the fuzzy image of the receipt, her note on the screen with the headline, "A quiet act of generosity sparks national conversation." Anna groaned and let her luggage fall to the ground, asking, "That's you, isn't it?" Her mother's eyes softened as she motioned for Anna to sit next to her. "Yeah, Mom, that's me." "I didn't ask for it," Anna said, folding her arms. "It's a good thing, you know. People need stories like this." Her mother softly retorted, "Sometimes the good things find you when you're not looking for them." She extended her hand to squeeze Anna's. "What he wrote, that was special. And people are talking about it because they need to believe there's still kindness in the world. You're part of that now." Anna choked up. Her mother shook her head slowly and said, It feels too big for me, Mom, like I don't deserve it." "Don't say that. You work hard every day to keep us afloat. You're kind to people even when you're tired. That's who you are, Anna. And someone saw it. Someone decided to remind you that you matter." Anna's eyes began to well up with tears once more, but she did not resist. The note wasn't just about her, and her mother was right. It has to do with hope. It was about demonstrating to people that generosity and simple acts of kindness still had value. Anna's phone buzzed again that night as she lay in bed looking up at the ceiling. More people, more inquiries, more noise. She knew what it was without having to check. But underneath it all, the message was nestled beneath her pillow, a physical reminder that she had been spotted by someone unexpected. Anna didn't feel invisible for once. Anna made a decision the following day. "I'll do it," she murmured softly as she called her manager to inform the morning program. Her boss almost hung up the phone. "Are you sure?" "Yes, but I'm not going to talk about the money. I want to talk about the note, about kindness, that's all." The conversation was straightforward. The host leaned forward as Anna sat on the couch with her hands clasped awkwardly in her lap. "Anna, you've been in the spotlight these past few days because of something very unexpected. A note and a tip from Barron Trump. Can you tell us how it felt when you first read it?" Anna took a moment to think. "Honestly, it caught me off guard. It wasn't about the money, it was what he wrote. I've been going through a tough time, and those words meant more than I can explain." The host gave a nod. "What do you think he meant by that?" Anna looked at the camera, feeling as though she was addressing everyone in the room, not just the presenter. The note said, "Your kindness and hard work don't go unnoticed. My family has been where you are. Stay strong. Brighter days are coming." I think he meant that we all go through struggles, no matter who we are, no matter what family we come from. And sometimes when you're at your lowest, the smallest act of kindness can change everything. It reminds you that someone sees you and that you're not alone. For a moment, the studio was silent as the impact of her words lingered. The host gave a kind smile. Anna's voice faltered a little, but she smiled and said, "That's a beautiful message, Anna." Is there anything you'd like to say to Barron if he's watching? Anna didn't check her phone during the interview. Just thank you, not for the money, but for seeing me, for reminding me to hold on to hope. You made more of a difference than you know. She didn't look at the headlines or the comments. Instead, a bit lighter on her feet, she returned to work the following day with her apron fastened firmly. The cafe had never been busier. Consumers now gave her a different grin because she felt seen, not because they were aware of her tale. People genuinely said thank you, left nice notes on napkins, or left a small additional tip. For years to come, Anna would keep Barron's note in her wallet as a constant reminder that even the smallest actions may have a big impact, and that a few words can inspire hope. A person's life can occasionally be changed by the slightest act of compassion. It could be a helpful hand, a kind remark, or simply letting someone know they are important. Who are you able to help today? Remember that we all have better days ahead of us. Sometimes we only require a gentle reminder.